It was a meeting foreshadowed by a major North Korean missile test and fraught with political risk. A visit by a South Korean leader to Japan for a bilateral summit for the first time in nearly 12 years. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol had a busy Thursday, starting by issuing a warning to North Korea and then jetting off to Japan to meet with Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. And after their summit, Yoon told reporters it was the first step in overcoming their country's unfortunate history. Relations have long been difficult due to unhealed wounds stemming from Japanese colonial rule during the first half of the 20th century. They soured more recently under Yoon's predecessor Moon Jae-in, when South Korea effectively abandoned a much criticized agreement to settle the so-called comfort women issue, referring to the past sexual enslavement of Korean girls and women. That deal had been announced by the foreign ministers of South Korea and Japan in 2015, one of whom was Kishida, by the way. Another particularly sore point was the South Korean Supreme Court's 2018 rulings ordering Japanese companies to compensate Korean victims of forced labor. But even before Thursday's summit, Seoul had paved the way for a breakthrough by deciding to pay forced labor victims through a South Korean government-affiliated foundation. And Yoon confirmed Thursday the South has no plans to seek reimbursement from Japan. You might be wondering what South Korea achieves by compromising in this way. A big security factor has been the apparent need to strengthen cooperation with Japan in the face of North Korean threats, especially in the context of the trilateral relationship with the US. And Yoon and Kishida agreed to completely normalize a military intelligence sharing pact known as GSOMIA, which had come under pressure during Moon Jae-in's time in office after Tokyo imposed export restrictions targeting the South's need for key industrial materials. Speaking of which, Japan will now remove those curbs. In response to the summit, the US welcomed this new chapter in South Korea-Japan relations, highlighting their trilateral partnership's key role in achieving a more secure and more prosperous Indo-Pacific, based on a statement by National Security Council Communications Coordinator John Kirby. Political opponents in South Korea have been much less impressed, particularly because there was no direct apology from Kishida over Japan's past abuses. He did reaffirm that his government inherits past statements, which include a 1998 Seoul-Tokyo declaration calling for overcoming the past, as Japan expressed remorse for the horrendous damage and pain that it had inflicted on the Korean people. But with further words and actions by Japanese leaders and officials since then causing further pain, South Korea's voices of protest are unlikely to be silenced by the outcome of this week's summit.